you're all again welcome to the Hilly Bridge pub. You'll notice this pub is a little different from the last pub. As apart from the really obvious fact that it's a totally different pub. But you know, just the way it feels, this is one of two pubs in Tampa Bar which hasn't been renovated and done up. No, apparently it is getting done up. Apparently the Jax is going over there. So the hand dryer missing from the male toilet wasn't stolen, it's part of this whole upgrade thing. We're told, that's the story. This is a normal Dublin pub and it's a locals pub. So downstairs you'll find everybody downstairs is from the locality. So mind your handbags, etc. There's a few of these pubs left in Tampa Bar, you know, they're all kind of very commercialised. All of the pubs as well have amplification, including this one, you know, and big screens and televisions, and it's to cater for the throngs of tourists that arrive in Tampa Bar and what have you. So, but this is a family-owned pub, so it's a little different. Family-owned pubs tend to, like for example, the sons and daughters of the owner, when they're teenagers, will be going around, you know, cleaning up and, you know, learning the trade and stuff. So it's a different, it's kind of a nice, it's more family-friendlier atmosphere, and you get kind of good, you know, non-PC banter going on downstairs. You know what I mean? It's kind of like country, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So it's particularly special. We love it. We drink in here even if we didn't have to. You know, and the next book we're going to, thanks Chris. Hi Chris, how are you? The next book we're going to is Brannigan's, which is up on Cathedral Street near the square, and it's the same, you know, family-owned, family-friendly, kind of proper Dublin pub. And you'll notice as well we've got a nice wooden floor, because that's hugely important with acoustic music. If you're playing in an acoustic session, you need to play in a room which has got good acoustics, and also it's good for playing the boot, which is what we do at a session. Irish people will never clap along in rhythm to the tunes because it's crass and it's kind of like it creates a, you know, it hurts your hands. If you start clapping along, you're obliged to continue clapping along till the end of the piece, because then you're officially in the band. Also, it's very difficult to clap in time. I defy anybody to clap for 5 or 10 minutes in time while staring at your drink going, why the hell did I start clapping? And it also shows too much emotion. So what Irish people do is we play the boot. Multitasking. Which you can do and remain looking bored, you know, and unemotional, which is the look you should have if you're an Irish person at an Irish music session. You should never look excited by music until you've had 4 pints of Guinness inside you. Then it's fine. So,
it comes from a place in Ireland. A lot of people think it's in Texas in America. It's a place called Y'all. Y'all, come back here. Now, if you were saying Y'all, you'd say Youghal. It's spelled Y-O-U-G-H-A-L. And Y'all is in County Cork, and Cork people and Dublin people don't get on. This is sort of a friendly rivalry between us. We hate them and they hate us. You know. We have Guinness in Dublin since 1759. We're delighted with it. It's going really, really well for us. And Guinness is stout. And they have stout in Cork called Murphy's, and it's the same thing. And if you had a pint of Guinness on the table and a pint of Murphy's on the table, you really couldn't tell them apart. The only difference is that Guinness tastes nice. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. But don't drink Guinness because it comes from Dublin. They put up signs saying, if you're not with us, you're Guinness. It's the type of people. And chocolate and lots. So a local entrepreneur, they ran out of local stuff, so a local entrepreneur decided he would bite the bullet, and he went over to England and he sourced some very, very cheap cider called Scrumpy. Has anyone out here ever tasted Scrumpy cider? No. Well, Scrumpy cider is known as loony soup at the best of times, but this is particularly strong cider that hadn't been properly fermented, but something went wrong. It was particularly strong, and they had nothing to carry back to Ireland, only old wooden barrels that had been used to store brandy. So it was a mixture between Scrumpy cider and stale brandy. When they opened up the stuff in Y'all, it was like rocket fuel, and people were dying and people were going blind, the whole lot. Now you didn't go rushing to the bar to buy it because they had to stop selling. They had 12 weeks supply, and when it was totally gone after 6 weeks, all they had left then was a few songs and a few corpses. And this is so where are you all from tonight? I know we've some people here from New York. We've heard New York's. Great. We have people from the Bay Area.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, where it's always.
Where at?
West County.
Virginia.
Virginia.
Norway.
Oh, the Vikings are here. Oh my God. Where? Germany.
Chicago.
Sorry about Mrs. O'Leary. Sorry about that.
Poland represent.
Represent your Poland, very nice.
Hawaii.
What?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
A fellow islander.
And actually, yes, that's true. And that was actually founded by an Irishman. Did you know that? There was a fellow from Mayo who arrived in Honolulu and he got off the plane and says, Hawaii. Oh, that's true. I told him. So when they brought in so that's something for a table quiz if you're stuck. So so the name of the drink was called Johnny Jump Up. That was what it was called. It should have been called Johnny Lay Down Again and Never Get Up Again. So I'll give you the chorus and hopefully you can sing along. Oh never again have I lived to be 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. That's easy. Oh never again have I lived to be 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. Beautiful, that was really lovely. Now, the next time we could have everybody singing, not just the drum people, everybody singing. You can't sing good, sing loud. Oh never again have I lived to be 100 or 110. I went to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. And one last thing I'll tell you then is a guard is a policeman in Ireland. They come into the song fairly quickly. Oh, I'll tell you a story, sure it happened to me one day as I went down to Youghal by the sea. And the sun was bright and the day being warm, says I a nice pint wouldn't do me any harm. But I went into the pub and I called for a stout. Said the barman, oh I'm sorry, all our beer is sold out. Will you try a whiskey or have a paddy? 10 years in the wood. Says I, I'll try a cider. I heard that it's good. Oh never again have I lived to be 100 or 110. I went to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. Here's the guards now. After loading the third, I nipped out to the yard where I bumped into Brophy, the big civic guard. Hey, will you come here to me, boy? Don't you know I'm the law? Well, I up at my fist and I smacked his big jaw. He fell down on the ground and his knees buckled up. Wasn't me that hit him, it was the Johnny Jump Up. And the next man I met down in Youghal by the sea was a young man on crutches, and says he to me, well, I'm afraid of me life, I'll get hit by a car. Would you carry me across to the railwayman's bar? But after 2 pints of that cider so sweet, well, he threw down his crutches and he danced down the street. Oh never again have I lived to be 100 or 110. I went to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. Here's the song verse now, and that's what makes an Irish song, so. A man died up in the Union, be the name of MacNab. Well, they washed him and they laid him out along on a slab. And when the undertaker his measurements to take, well, his wife carried him home for a very nice wake. And it was around 12 o'clock and the beer it was high when the corpse sat up and says he with a sigh, oh, I'll never make heaven, sure they won't let me up till I bring them a quart of the Johnny Jump Up. Oh, never again Boris wants to have a go at that.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you very much.
Now, I think you'll agree. When you see, you can come forward again. Mind your Guinness. There you go, is that alright? Yeah, it's like when you see the music and the dance together, it does make a hell of a lot more sense. It's more fun for us to play as well for a dancer because they create the rhythm, you know. My grandmother and my grand aunt were from farming background, and their parents died when they were teenage girls, so they kind of had to mind the farm, and it was a small enough farm, it was only 12 acres, but they had animals and what have you. But they had their house was a Cayley house. It was a party, you know. Cayley is an Irish word which means together. So if a Cayley is where people will come together to dance. So if you go to a Cayley, but if you're talking about your husband, like for example, my far Cayley, which means the man I'm together with, or my ban Cayley means the woman I'm together with, if you translate it directly into English. And then if you're going on a Cayley, if you say, I'm going out on my Cayley, that means you're going out on Friday and you're coming back on Sunday. So the word is quite
Flexible.
Yes, it's quite flexible. Right. But they buried the skull of a cow underneath a part of the floor.
Dead cow.
It wasn't a mafia kind of thing. It was under the floor, so that if you danced on that part of the floor, you got a subtly different sound. Dancing was usually, it was like, I know, it was a modern woofer box, or surround sound for the 1950s or whatever, But that's how seriously they took dancing. Dancing was huge in Ireland, and people would and it wasn't like, she's a professional, so she kind of does all the shows and what have you. So she keeps her legs up really high. Normal Irish people will lift their legs maybe this much off the ground, but they'll do all the footwork. So it's all the rhythm of the feet, and they do a thing called the batter. So some of the dance is very simple. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's all it is. But what they'll do is they'll do a thing in offbeat kind of thing. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and everybody will do it, and it creates a kind of a wave that works with the music. So it's kind of interesting, even though they're not doing anything complicated like moves, they still have that rhythm. So with the music, it works well. Sorry.
Anyway, I'm going to do the song now. We have an Irish toast actually. Father Boone, that means long life. Father Boone. So we're going to give you a song now in the Irish language. We have 3 main languages in Ireland. We have the English language, which we got to learn, thank you very much. We also have the Irish language, which is the first language of our state. And then most commonly of all, you hear spoken everywhere, is bad language. You hear that everywhere. And, the Irish language is the first language of our state. Everyone learns it in school, so about 2 million people would have good working knowledge of it. A couple of 100,000 people speak it every day in places like Galway, Connemara, down Kerry and Donegal. And that leaves about 2 million people who haven't got a clue. And it's one of the Celtic languages. They speak Celtic languages in Spain, in Asturias in Spain, in Galicia in Spain, and in Brittany in France, in Cornwall in England, Wales, the Isle of Man. But we're most like Scottish. Irish and Scottish is very similar. So much so that if I speak my language, which is called Gaelic, and I'm speaking with a Scottish person, and they're speaking in Scots Gaelic, I can more or less understand a Scottish person then, which is great because when they speak English, nobody knows what they're talking about. Now, we're not in any way mean to Scottish people because everyone knows Scottish people are Irish people that can't swim. It's only 7 miles from the Mull Kintyre to the Giant's Causeway, so there's no excuse. But when we think of the romantic people of the world, for some reason, we tend not to think of Scottish people or Irish people. We tend to think of people like the French, people like Mr. Macron or Mr. Sarkozy, or the Italians, Mr. Berlusconi, that type of thing. There's no Irish word for bunga bunga, for example. But Irish men, most of us would come from farming stock. Like 100 years ago, most Irish people were farmers or from farming stock. And farmers are very practical when it comes to matters of love. They'd be interested in a girl for practical reasons. Like, for example, if she had good road frontage, that would be very desirable. No, I don't mean like that. What I mean is, let me clarify. A girl with good road frontage is a girl who has a farm that runs along the edge of the road.
Sure it is.
And you can sell off. You can sell off sites for houses. It's very valuable. Or if she has access to a stream, or if she has a tractor or something like that. And the first thing the guy says to the girl in the song says, Sheelan Cade Ban, Gurlo Fain May, Nora Olean Lane. And that means 100 women think that I am theirs when I go drinking with them. And then he says, Octane Gahrian, she is the Nora Sminium, and that means 2/3 of them go out of my mind when I think about you. For those of you who are struggling with the maths, what he's saying is it's you and 30 others at the other end, which is a beautiful compliment. She's in the top 30 out of 100. But she doesn't see it as a compliment, so she's a bad humour. So then he's trying to give her the best compliment he possibly can. So he remembers his favourite cow that went missing on the hills here before. And he was thrilled to get his cow back, and he was delighted to see her. And he said, you're just like that cow. And she didn't give him a chance to explain what he meant. So these are unrequited love songs. And these songs come from a time, I did some family research. I found out my great-great-grandfather in 1901, he couldn't read or write. And if you can't read or write, it gets dark in Dublin at 4:30 in the winter time, so it can be fairly miserable. Like, you can't read, you can't write, you have no TV, you have no radio, no record player, Wi-Fi might be down, So what are you going to do? The nights will be very, very long. They had big families, but other than that, the only thing you could do then was sing songs. And this song that I'm going to sing for you in the Irish language in a Shannon style has 29 verses in it. I hope you like it. But you do seem like nice people, so I'll just do 23 verses for you. Just to cover the bare bones of it. I'll do 2 verses of it, that'll be as much as you can take. It's an art form, but I've suffered for my art. No need for you to do it. And then, anyone here on the honeymoon? Any honeymooners tonight?
We can be.
What's that?
We can be.
Actually, there's 6 of us. We're all with our husbands that have been together for, not the husbands haven't been together for a long time, but we have. So if we needed to be on a honeymoon, we could.
Yeah, every day is honeymoon. I like it. Yeah, I like
That's
it.
right, every day.
Any long anniversaries then? Any long anniversaries?
Anniversary of our first date, 22 years ago. At an Irish pub in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. Not as authentic. Not quite that authentic.
And what's the secret? How do you stick with that 52 years? How does that go?
I'm just happy to be here.
Lucky man.
Heart-shaped tubs.
Yes. Congratulations. So this is a honeymoon song. The tradition in Ireland when it's your honeymoon was to bring your spouse to meet your family after you get married. That's always good advice, I think. It's good advice. So before they meet Mad Uncle Nick or Auntie Mary. And so this is so we do that honeymoon song afterwards. They make a war song out of it as well. A fellow called Pádraig Pearse. You went to see Kilmaine in jail. Has anybody been to see Kilmaine in jail? Yeah. It may not be good for first date, but it's good. First date, I would go to Glasnevin Cemetery. Actually, that's a good one for. But Kilmaine in jail is the Irish Revolution in 1916. The leader was Pádraig Pearse. Across the road at the GPO, he read out the proclamation. Within a week, he was executed. But he was a poet, and he took an old honeymoon song and he made a war song out of it, as you do. And he mentions Grania Whale, who was a pirate queen in the Mayo in the west of Ireland, where there's some Mayo people here tonight. Where's the Mayo people? Mayo, yeah. Or the home of Irish mayonnaise. So we'll do that song, Grania Whale. She'll kevan verlofen mein rolien len. Ach ten guardian she's the young nor sminium and gorat. Snack the shete shega hirker o hlin man fjern grase maar bladen arni goren dreinen dan. Da mensen wador sman avin en ariganan. Da mensen melan akjas delan barn dan. Da mere dat glan scheve nogen jendigen kontrkeil Salanischen Nach just a day long, we the Kaichalan. So here's the honeymoon song. You just say Oro. Oro. Shedaba. Owalia. You say that 3 times. Oro. Shedaba. Owalia. One more time. Oro. Shedaba. Owalia. And the last line you clear your throat for this is Nish. Achyak. Antari. Now, if the person in front of you is not covered in spit, you're not doing it right. Let's Anish. Achyak. Antari. And that lovely line means, Oro means nothing. Shedava Hawali means my love is home. And Anish Achyak Antari means now the summer is here. That's what so try with music. Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali. Hanishay Hakari, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali. Hanishay Hakari, Lagan Vela Chakta Sadogli Alamalay Margada, Gay Fancy Funk Nastamik, this Honey Shaver Gargola, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali, Hanishay Hakari. Mamma mia, Joni, jag köpte en gran med det smidiga skräp att våga panna gåva. Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali, Oro Shedava Hawali. Anisha Yaktan Hawali, Shedava Bambulengo, Kalega, Kabaga, Duliga, Shalom Murder, stood in the lesson goal.
My name is Renee Kahalani Schofield, and I'm from the Big Island, 4 miles from the most recent volcanic eruption, which you saw last week. Yeah, that was our volcano goddess kind of. Anyway, this is a song that we sing for a lot of the tourists, and it goes like this. Kia makaona makiala pikola kaimomona piko kailuela lihalia vale temomoni hakula oko iyo hadalei kaila oko pelu pele wana heona tomito itautopu utemomoni tu. What that means is we made a song out of all the foods that tourists want to eat. So it sounds really traditional, but all it means is you make a beef stew heavy on the extra salad, 2 scoops of rice on a hamburger bun, hot dog, kimchi, chili pepper water, akule, which is a fish, mahi mahi sandwich, top it all off with keep them on soyu, heona tomi tau itautopu utemoniatu. In Hawaiian circles, when we meet and we sing and we talk and we dance, there is a dark somberness to it because we didn't ask to be American. Our queen was thrown in jail and our land annexed. We are, besides Native American Indians, Native Hawaiians are the only other indigenous people in America, and the only one with a monarchy, which our last queen was thrown in prison. So these are the kinds of songs that we sing that are more somber and spiritual. Let's see. Oko aloha no, ai ai kalani, o oko ia ia, he he mulele o i.
to you.
You weren't listening to the rules earlier. Wow.
I'll call them Aluna.
And first she washed them, then she dried them over a fire of angry coal. And in all my life I never did see a maid so sweet about the tall. She had 20, 18, 16, 14 and 12, 13, 14. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 and 1. Oh, as I went back through Dublin city, as the dawn of day being o'er, oh, who should I see but that Spanish lady when I was weary and footsore? And she had a heart so full of loving, and her love she longed to share. And in all my life I never did see a girl who had so much to spare. Good girl yourself. She had 20, 18, 16, 14 and 12, and 6, 4 to love. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 and 1. Oh, I wandered north and I wandered south, up the Stony Batter and Patrick's Close, and up and along by the Gloucester Diamond, and back by the Napper Tanley's house. Well, ages laid her hand upon me, and it's cold as a fire of ashy coal, and gone forever is the Spanish lady, neat and sweet about the soul. And round goes the wheel of fortune, and where she settles now wearies me. Oh, young pretty fair maids are deceiving, sad experience teaches me. Now we just have the men this time, just the men. She had 20, 18, 16, 14 12, 10, 8, 6, 4 to 1. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 and 1. Now just the ladies. She had 20. Just the Norwegian people, just the Norwegian. Everybody. She had 20, 18, 16, 14 and 12, and 8, 6, 4 to 9. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 and 1. Thank you.
I've had the easier sobriety test.
You get the bus, you get the bus.
There's a lot of tunes being written that are new. So we do a tune that was written by an Australian about a snowmobile. It's called Skidoo.
He's pretty like been one of the best songs.
Yeah.
Stock and Swing.
He's Stock and Swing.
He was the didgeridoo player with the. He was one of the best traditional Irish didgeridoo players around, wasn't he?
Didgeridoo. Somebody said to didgeridoo. My area. So into do the commerce.
And actually, one of the good things about being in Dublin is that you can get to the mountains very quickly. You can be up in the mountains in half an hour, or you can get to the sea in half an hour, you know. And this was written by a friend of mine who was living in New York. And when he was in New York, he had to drive about 200 miles or whatever to get to the sea. I don't know, whatever, you know, like it's a long way when he was in Manhattan. And like Irish men didn't wear shorts in the 80s, and he was over there, and he had no shorts to wear, and he was in his jeans, and he was belted out, and he was just saying, if you could only be in Wicklow, in the mountains of Ireland. And my two friends here from Wicklow here tonight, the Wicklow boys down here. Actually, you used to live in Hollywood, didn't you?
Yeah.
But these people from Hollywood is actually.
Are you from Hollywood?
No, they're not. They're from
Close by.
Okay. All right.
So I did this for them. So the good thing about Irish music is it's not dead. There's new music being created out on new tunes. Some of the tunes you played tonight were 500 years old. Some of them were older tunes, and then some of them were new tunes. But like so. There's new tunes being created, but the Skidoo is a fairly recent tune. Yeah. But this is a more recent song, and it's a jig rhythm, rashers and sausages, and it's a song called the Wicklow Hills, and it's lovely if people sing it. But he was saying about as well, if you're in New York, just you wish you could just get away and just get up the mountains and be up there. And he also talks about it as well. It takes more imagination when everything's remote control, like you know, and if you're everything comes to your head now, you know, but he was writing this about Walkmans or time, but now like my son, like his phone goes like 6 times in a minute. I don't know how the hell he can think about anything, like, you know, because your brain has been fried by social media or whatever, you know, the phone, but so it takes more imagination when everything's remote control. So the chorus anyway is, tell everybody I've gone away for 10 years. So tell everybody I've gone away for 10 years, I've gone to wander among the Wicklow Hills. So it's Wicklow is the mountains above, when you look at above Dublin, you see it. So it's lovely when people sing it actually, so we'll try. Tell everybody I've gone away for 10 years. I've gone to wander among the Wicklow Hills. That's your bit, ready? Tell everybody I've gone away for 10 years. I've gone to wander among the Wicklow Hills. And Larry might play a jig. If you play a jig at the end of the day,
Yeah.
go back in the morning or something. Spring still paints the fire escape with hopper shades. Radios rock and screech like trains. Our figures floating through the sunset, stuck to the corner of the street. An old gypsy lady smacks the window pane. A farm dog gets out onto the highway. It takes more imagination when everything's remote control. For me it's just a case of what's on the other side of close. Your bit coming up. Tell everybody I've gone away for 10 years. I've gone to wander among the Wicklow Hills. Tell everybody I've gone away for 10
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out tonight. We appreciate. We made our job very easy.
Yeah.
So it's great when people.
Thanks for singing.
When people join the seance, it's much easier than. Usually during the summer, we get 70 people a night, so it's a much more different vibe. So we love it when it's smaller crowd and it's more intimate and we get to talk to people and a bit of banter. By the way, if you do have any questions or if there's something that you want to speak to us about, myself and Steve are going to be here for the next 10 or 15 minutes after we finish, so don't be shy, come up to us and talk to us.
It's a great session starting now, like the Cobblestone pub was fantastic every night of the week.
Yeah, 7 nights a week.
7 nights a week.
Cobblestones is owned by musicians, it's owned by the Mulligans, and they don't have televisions in the pub. And like, if you imagine this seat here, right, so that seat, and then that seat again this way, is kind of reserved for musicians to just come in and play. Do you know what I mean? And then everywhere else in the pub is for everybody else. So there's loads of room, and sometimes you get 50 musicians in playing tunes. People with card tables and they sit around. So it's a really good place to go to. Cobblestones pub, Smithfield Market, definitely.
Group called the Chieftains. If you heard the Chieftains, they opened up the whistle player with the Chieftains was Sean Potts. His son Sean Potts has opened up a pub just around the corner. I'm going around there afterwards. It's called the Piper's Corner. There's a picture of a piper, and you went there last year, didn't you?
Yes.
You went there. There's a picture of a piper outside it. If you're in a pub that doesn't have a picture of a piper, you're lost and there's nothing you can do about it. Then they turn right and right again, 2 blocks.
There's a pub called O'Donoghue's on Marion Road.
O'Donoghue's is Marion Road.
O'Donoghue's. O-D-O-N-O-G-H-U-E.
That's where the Dubliners started, the very good Dubliners.
It's kind of where all the musicians go to die, and younger musicians go to learn their shit before they die. So it's an interesting kind of blend. So yeah, that's a nice place.
Or else you might just want to go back to your hotel room and listen to your CD,
Yes.
whatever.
And our imaginary tip jars.
Imagine tip jars.
So on behalf of myself and Steve and the traditional Irish musical pub crawl, thank you very much.